Good day, everyone. This is Jehan Maika de Lasa, and today we will tackle all about bilingualism, the Unitary language system hypothesis. These mixed utterances raise an interesting question about the grammars of bilingual children. Does the bilingual child start out with only one grammar that is eventually differentiated, or does she construct a separate grammar for each language right from the start? But before we answer that, let's answer what this unitary language system hypothesis is all about. The unitary system hypothesis that says that the children initially constructs only one lexicon and one grammar. The presence of mixed utterances, such as the ones just given, is often taken as support for this hypothesis. In addition, at early stages, bilingual children often have words for particular objects in only one language. For example, Spanish-English bilingual child may know the Spanish word for milk, leche, but not the English word, or she may have the word water, but not agua. This was simply taken as a support for the idea that the child has only one lexicon. However, careful examinations of the vocabularies of bilingual children reveals that although they may not have exactly the same words in both languages, there is enough overlap to make the single lexicon idea implausible. The reason that the children may not have the same set of words in both languages is that they use their two languages in different circumstances and acquire vocabulary appropriate to each situation. For example, the bilingual English-Spanish child may hear only one Spanish during mealtime, and so he will first learn the Spanish word for food. Also, bilingual children initially have smaller vocabularies in each of their languages than the monolingual child has in their own language. This makes sense that since a child can only learn so many words a day, and the bilingual child has two lexicons to build, for these reasons, the bilingual child have more lexical gaps than the monolingual child at a comparable stage of development. And those gaps may be different for each languages. And on the other hand, the separate system hypothesis. It says that a bilingual child builds a distinct lexicon and grammar form of each language. To test the separate system hypothesis, it is necessary to look at how the child acquires those pieces of grammars that are different in his two languages. For example, if both languages have SVO or the subject-verb-object-word order, this would not be a good place to test this hypothesis. A number of studies have shown that where the two languages diverge, children acquire the different rules of each language. Spanish, English, and French, German bilingual children have been shown to use the word orders appropriate to each language, as well as the correct agreement for morphemes of each language. Other studies have shown that children set up two distinct sets of phonemes and phonological rules for their language. The separate system hypothesis is also receives support from the study of LSQ French bilinguals discussed earlier. These children have semantically equivalent words in the two languages, just as spoken bilinguals do. In addition, these children, like all bilingual children, were able to adjust their language choice to the language of their address, showing that they differentiated the two languages. Excuse me. Like most bilingual children, the LSQ French bilinguals produced mixed utterances that had words from both languages. What is especially interesting is that these children showed simultaneous language mixing. They would produce LSQ sign and a French word at the same time, something that is only possible if language is spoken and on other side. However, this finding has implications for bilingual language acquisition in general. It shows the language mixing of bilingual children is not due to confusion, but is rather a result of the two grammars operating simultaneously. So let's move on to Virginia Volterra and Teisner, who put forth an influential study in 1978, positing that bilingual children moved from a stage where the two language are lexically mixed into eventual structural differentiation between the languages. Unitary language system hypothesis about the three model means a three-stage model for early bilingual development. The first stage is when the bilingual child has only one lexical system comprising words from both languages, 1.6 to 2.1. No bilingual synonyms in early stages indicate inability to differentiate between two languages. The second stage is development of the two distinct lexical systems, although the child applies the same syntactic rules to both languages. The languages become distinct. Development of bilingual synonyms and equivalences, emerging syntactic rules applied to both languages. And the third stage, differentiation of two linguistic systems, lexical as well as syntactic. The two languages distinct in both vocabulary and syntax. Use of language is context dependent. First, parent, and second is the language. So bilingual children first have a single fused linguistic representation. They begin to differentiate their two native languages by age 3. Implication: young bilinguals have language delay relative to monolinguals. And support for this hypothesis: young bilinguals in the one-word stage acquire words mostly in one but not both languages. Example: if the word bird is acquired for language, it is not acquired in other language. This suggests that young bilinguals do not initially differentiate between their two native vocabularies. The challenges to this hypothesis is that bilingual children mix because they lack appropriate lexical items in one language but have them in the other language. Adults have also this kind of mixing because they lack appropriate lexical items. Number 2 is mixing declines as a child comes to recognize adult imposed standards of behavior and shows awareness of his own ability to meet them. Number 3 is from Slobin 1972 to 1973, argues that bilingual children mix because acquisitional strategies that are independent of the language. So now let's try to answer the question we talked about earlier. Does the bilingual child start out with only one grammar that is eventually differentiated, or does she construct a separate grammar for each language right from the start? The answer is the first question, for it was said by the theory. And I do think so. I'm sticking to that answer. Anyway, that's all. Thank you so much and God bless.